My name is Quentin, and for as long as I can remember, I've been drawn to the forgotten places of the world. Abandoned buildings, derelict factories, ghost towns, they all call to me with their silent stories and hidden secrets. My fascination led me to become an urban explorer, documenting my experiences in video logs that I share with a growing audience online. But nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to uncover on my latest journey. It began with a tip from a fellow explorer about an old psychiatric hospital on the outskirts of a small town. The hospital had been abandoned for decades, left to decay after a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances. Local legends spoke of restless spirits and malevolent forces that haunted the halls. It was exactly the kind of place that piqued my curiosity. Equipped with my camera, flashlight, and a backpack of essentials, I set out to explore the abandoned hospital. As I approached the entrance, the air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped the area. The building loomed before me, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, ready to uncover the secrets hidden within. The first thing that struck me was the overwhelming sense of emptiness. The halls were filled with the detritus of a forgotten time, rusty gurneys, broken medical equipment, and stacks of patient files scattered across the floor. The walls were adorned with peeling paint and faded murals, remnants of a place that had once offered hope and healing. I began my exploration, documenting every detail with my camera. The eerie silence was broken only by the occasional creak of the building settling and the distant sound of dripping water. As I ventured deeper into the hospital, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. In one of the patient rooms, I found a journal tucked away in a drawer. The entries were written by a former patient named Eleanor, who had been admitted for severe depression. Her words were filled with despair and fear, describing strange occurrences and shadowy figures that tormented her at night. The final entry was a chilling plea for help, abruptly ending mid-sentence. I felt a chill run down my spine. Eleanor's words resonated with the stories I had heard about the hospital's dark past. Determined to uncover more, I continued my exploration, following a labyrinthine series of hallways and staircases that seemed to defy logic. As night fell, the atmosphere inside the hospital grew even more oppressive. My flashlight flickered, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The sense of being watched intensified, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was following me. In the old operating theater, I set up my camera to capture any paranormal activity. The room was eerily silent, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. As I reviewed the footage, I noticed faint orbs of light moving erratically across the screen. My heart raced as I realized I had captured evidence of the supernatural. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing my flashlight. I fumbled in the darkness, trying to regain my bearings. That's when I heard it, a soft, almost imperceptible whisper, like someone calling my name. I spun around, my eyes straining to see in the pitch black. The whisper grew louder, more insistent. I could feel a presence closing in, and the temperature plummeted. My breath came out in visible puffs, and I felt a clammy hand brush against my arm. Panicked, I grabbed my flashlight and switched it on, illuminating the empty room. My rational mind struggled to make sense of what had just happened. I decided to leave the operating theater and make my way back to the entrance. As I retraced my steps, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being pursued by something unseen. The deeper I delved into the hospital's history, the more I uncovered about its tragic past. It turned out that the hospital had been the site of numerous unethical experiments and mistreatment of patients. Many of those who were admitted never left, their lives ending in agony and despair. I discovered records of a doctor named Caldwell, who had been at the center of the hospital's darkest practices. His experiments on patients were driven by a twisted desire to unlock the secrets of the human mind, regardless of the cost. The hospital had been shut down after a series of scandals, but the damage had already been done. One name kept appearing in the records: Eleanor. It seemed she had been one of Caldwell's primary subjects. Her journal entries took on a new level of horror as I realized the extent of her suffering. She had been subjected to inhumane treatments and left to languish in her own torment. I felt a deep sense of sorrow and anger. These lost souls had been abandoned and forgotten, their stories buried in the ruins of the hospital. I knew I had to do something to honor their memory and bring their stories to light. As I prepared to leave the hospital, I felt a sudden compulsion to return to Eleanor's room. The air was charged with an electric energy, and I knew that I was not alone. I could feel the presence of the spirits growing stronger, as if they were gathering for one final act. I stood in the center of the room, my flashlight casting a weak beam of light. "Eleanor," I called out softly, "I'm here to help you. I want to tell your story." The temperature dropped, and a thick fog began to fill the room. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision, and the whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of voices. I could feel the spirits closing in, their anguish and desperation palpable. Suddenly, a figure materialized before me. It was Eleanor, her face a mask of sorrow and pain. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I could feel her despair as if it were my own. She reached out a hand, and I took it, feeling a cold chill seep into my bones. "Eleanor," I whispered, "you don't have to suffer anymore. I'm here to help you find peace." Her grip tightened, and for a moment, I thought I would be pulled into the darkness with her. But then, the fog began to lift, and the whispers subsided. The other spirits slowly faded away, leaving Eleanor and me alone in the room. She nodded, her expression softening. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Tell our story. Let the world know what happened here." With that, she vanished, leaving me standing in the empty room. The air was still, and the oppressive energy had lifted. I knew that I had done what I came to do. I left the hospital, my mind racing with the events of the night. I had captured enough footage to create a compelling video, one that would tell the true story of the hospital and its lost souls. As I edited the footage, I felt a deep sense of responsibility to do justice to the memories of those who had suffered there. When the video was finally uploaded, the response was overwhelming. People were captivated by the story, moved by the tragic history, and fascinated by the evidence of the supernatural. The video sparked a renewed interest in the hospital, leading to calls for its preservation as a historical site. I continued my explorations, documenting other abandoned locations and uncovering their hidden stories. But the experience at the hospital stayed with me, a reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead, and the importance of honoring the memories of those who came before us. In the end, I found a sense of peace in knowing that I had helped bring closure to the spirits of the hospital. Their stories would not be forgotten, and their suffering had not been in vain. The journey had tested my courage and challenged my beliefs, but it had also given me a deeper understanding of the world and the mysteries that lie within it. As I drive to my next destination, I carry with me the lessons I learned from the lost souls of the hospital. The road ahead is long and winding, but I am ready to face whatever lies in the darkness, knowing that the past is always with us, and that every place has a story waiting to be told. If you want to see more horror stories, please like the video, share your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Stay with us, thank you, and see you in the next videos.